So we're doing the holiday season your way. And what I mean by that is, I mean being authentic, being true to you. What is it that you want to do? For many of us, we've been sort of following along the family traditions or doing what everyone else wants, or the people with the largest voices in the family, what they want. And maybe there is a strong matriarchal or patriarchal um, family where we all have to go to the grandparents' place or the parents' place. And so just being authentic and actually diving deep into what we really want to do in the holidays. That's what this is about. And then, because what happens is, excuse me, what happens is when we aren't authentic, that's when the anxiety and stress occurs. You'd be surprised at how many things we could say no to and create more space for ourselves to just relax and have a stress-free time. So this is about the Christmas period, the New Year's Eve period, the Australia Day holiday, the school holidays. Many people go away at this time of year. So you can allow this to expand into all of those areas, depending on what it is that you want to work on, or just one section of it. So why is this a tricky time of year? So this is what we're going to go into. And I'll just jump through the slides. And just very brief, I've already done my quick introduction. This is not going to be about me selling myself or about me selling you something at the end. Okay, this is a pure service. And yes, it's a sample of some of the things I can do with you, but this is all about service. So it's a very quick introduction. I'm an entrepreneur. I've run a couple of businesses. My first part of my adult life, it was bookkeeping and accounting. The second half has been more of my spiritual side and becoming more of the teacher, mentor, energy healer role. For those of you who have been following me will know that I became a grandmother this year, and so being a grandparent is just absolutely awesome. So I'm an awesome grandmother. And I also absolutely adore the ocean. I love water, wherever it may be, and so a lot of my visuals are with water in it, and that's why. So I just thought I'd share a little bit about myself. And so our talk today, this is what's going to be in our talk. We are going to first off identify our triggers. Then I'm going to just share with you some of the energetics of what's going on with the triggers. I'm going to create, and then we're going to together create an intention for this whole holiday season. Then I'm going to show you a survival action plan that you can put into place. Then we're going to just talk about breathing some new life into some traditions. Then I'm going to do a process with you where we're going to do some healing and releasing around the fears and stresses. And then we're going to do some beautiful blessings about our intentions and paving the way forward, blessing forward for everything that is to come. So that's the outline of what we're going to be doing today. So first of all, I want to talk about, why is it tricky? Why is it so tricky at this time of year? And so it's tricky because there are social expectations, there are family expectations, and there are personal expectations. So I touched on a little bit of the family expectations a minute ago. And what is it the family expects from this holiday? What are the expectations about your role? And then we have the social expectations. We have all of the shops with all of the decorations and the lovely Hallmark cards with images of families being all beautiful and happy together. And then we have like the personal expectations. How do we feel personally about it? I shared a minute ago that I kind of got stressed about the actual days and thinking like it would be a loser if I didn't have something to do on Christmas Day or go to a party on New Year's Eve. And I just get so stressed, especially the New Year's Eve one where like, oh, where are we going? It's like a loser to sit at home and watch television. So I used to get very stressed about that, and about like, are people going to be happy? Are they going to be enjoying whatever I put on or whatever I go to? So that's some of my stresses that used to come up. So we have all of these expectations, and I'm just going to be looking at my notes occasionally so I don't miss out anything for you. So it's going to bring up any unrealized emotions. It's going to trigger them, any emotions and trauma that you haven't really dealt with. And it's also going to highlight, unfortunately, our growing edges. And what better place to show those growing edges than when we're with family? Because family know you the most, close family and friends, because that's where we rub up against each other. Our growing edges rub up against each other and it grates and people lose their temper and they kind of get us at our worst. You know, they bring out the worst in us, that kind of thing. The holiday season can also highlight that inner split between our authentic self and our false self. The self we had to create as a child to survive in our families, emotionally intact, right? So we put on these roles and personas that we've kind of developed in these patterns over the years. So it also highlights the split between the myth of the happy family that I mentioned and the families that we actually have. Okay, now there's nothing wrong with our families. It's exactly perfect for what we need as human beings. But when we're being shown this other visual, then we kind of go, well, is my family wrong? Like, why aren't we all happy and, you know, wearing our Christmas hats and looking gloriously Christmas? So if we have had any emotional lack of nurturing as a child, if we've ever felt unloved as children, then we may feel unsafe, emotionally unsafe with our families. And so we've created these roles in order to feel safe, which aren't not necessarily our true authentic self. And we've been playing those roles for a long, long time. So the ways we've tried to get approval from others will play out here in these times around families. And also the hopes that our family members would change. Like there's sometimes a bit of grief, like we might have moved on our spiritual path, but they're just the same. And we just think like, why aren't you awake? And we can get frustrated. It can also bring up the triggers of that little girl in you or that little boy in you that has any unresolved feelings that still need to be processed about your childhood history. Okay, so it can be a tricky time to navigate, not being completely aware of what is triggering you or what is underneath. So we're going to bring some awareness to that. So triggers. What triggers you at this time of year? So I expressed some of those expectations about people being happy, me getting it right kind of feeling. So some of the triggers, some of the areas we might get triggered in are family drama. There could be financial pressure. Let's not forget the financial pressure. When I had young children and not a lot of money was coming in all the time, like we kind of used all our money from paycheck to paycheck. So Christmas, where we kind of spent that extra money, was extra money not necessarily available in the budget. So people can have financial pressures. They could go into debt and then spend the rest of the year paying off the debt. There can be pressure to buy more because of social pressure and kids getting pressure from kids at school and that they're getting this, so why can't I have that? All of those financial pressures. There can be triggers around loneliness, isolation, and depression. There can just be stress and overwhelm can be a trigger. It can just trigger that stress. Like you might have had a couple of stressful years at Christmas time, and then all of a sudden, every time you hear the word holiday season, it's like, oh my God, it's stressful, it's stressful. When my children were little, we used to have to drive all the way down one direction for one set of family and another direction for another set of family. We had like this quick breakfast and kids opening breakfast at home, and then we kind of packed the car to stay overnight somewhere else. And it was quite stressful for me as a mother. So that doesn't happen anymore, but I still have that feeling inside me about that stress. So you might have had a stressful period around Christmas season and it stayed with you. So this unexpressed feeling of overwhelm. Then there's the overcommitment. I mean, let's face it. If you're a parent, there's all of the school things that get put on. There's all of the dance concerts. There's the sporting presentations, so many children activities. Then there's the work activities. Then there's the friendship activities. Like we can overcommit and create stress in our life. Then we've got this like long summer holiday in Australia. So it could be, and because I'm extending this out for like January as well, I used to be really stressed about, like, what am I going to do with all of these kids for 6 weeks, right? The 6 weeks holidays. We couldn't afford to be away for 6 weeks. And many parents can only have like a certain amount of holidays together because both parents work. And so one parent has to be home looking after the children, the other person working. As a small business owner for a lot of that time, because I was doing bookkeeping for 15 years, I would stress about how am I going to see the clients over that long extended period. So I worked my life around being able to do some of those things from home. So there's this, stress about how am I going to look after the kids. It can also be a heightened time for grief, that loneliness grief, if you've lost a loved one. And then the Christmas is at one of those anniversaries that are very painful. So there's real grief at this time of year. There's the expectations of yourself and others, which I kind of touched on, and time pressure. Like there's pressure around, oh, I've got to get all my shopping done, and I've got to get the presents, I've got to get the food, I've got to go to the parties, I've got to do this, that, and everything else. So we put extra time pressure on ourselves. Then we might have to deal with the stresses of other people. So you might have stressed people around you at work, stressed people around you in the shops, stressed clients that you have to deal with, colleagues, bosses. I was shopping yesterday. It was that very hot day, and we were at Miranda, and we were shopping, and this lady just went off at the shopkeeper, and my daughter and I just looked at each other and went, there's a bit of stress going on here. So we just sent a lot of love, and we were really, really kind to the shopkeeper when we were being served. So yeah, there's a lot of stress around, and that increased stress could aggravate health. So it could be that when all of this stress around the holiday season for any of those triggers can aggravate our health, and so we might actually activate pain or something in our body as a result of the stress and overwhelm that we're going into. So I'm wondering, does any of those things make your heart go faster? Does any of those areas feel stressful to you? Do you get stressed around family, like family drama? I know in the past I've had clients talk about work. Okay, so Anita's saying work in the salon is always overwhelming, busy, and stressful. Okay, so there you've got some added stresses of moving, packing and moving. Yes, so you've got a whole lot of changes going on, right? So there's change going on for Anita. Other things, there's family dynamics that people have had clients really stressed about family and trying to find that common thread where there's some unity and instead of all of those growing edges. And sometimes there's that being alone. I've had other clients talk about being alone at this time, and that's been one of their stresses. So just think about that now. I just want you to take a deep breath in. And we're just going to slow down from time to time, and I'm going to get you to check in with yourself by just closing your eyes and just think, what is it that's really stressing me out about this season? Because I'm going to include those in the meditation, in the process at the end. So taking a couple of deep breaths in and just check in, what is stressing you out? What's your trigger? Is it family drama? Is it financial pressure? Is it loneliness, isolation, depression? Is it stress and overwhelm, overcommitment, entertaining children, grief, expectations, time pressure, stressed clients and family, or increased stress aggravating health issues? There's some examples. So just tune in, and we can add those to the process at the end if anyone wants to pop into the comments what one of their stress triggers is. Expectations, yes, expectations are a big one for me. So what's going on energetically? Money, yep, good. Financial, that's another one, yep, perfect. So we'll include those. So I just want to briefly tell you what is going on energetically. I'm going to speed through some of these things, but as I said, it's in the workbook, so you'll be able to catch up on anything that I said a bit too fast. So what's going on energetically is that everyone has an energy body, and we have this relationship as a family with each other, right? This energetic relationship. So all of our energy fields, and I'm making it a circle because we've kind of got this aura with all of our chakras in it, blob into each other, right? And we have a relationship with our family, and that's one relationship, energetic relationship. And then we have an energetic relationship with each person that we're interacting with. So there is, and then there's this combination of your whole entire family, whether it be just the small family rippling out into the larger extended family. It has its own energetic signature with its own blocks and with its own expectations and belief systems. So we have this energetic, family energetic pattern going on, its own entity. Then what we've got going on, and I touched on this a moment ago, is the patterns and roles that we created from when we were young, where maybe we decided to play the good girl so that we get attention and approval, or maybe we're the rebel and we're a bit noisy and loud and we're always mucking up. So there's these roles that we started to play in order to feel safe. That's also going on underneath all of this. Then we've got this other really weird thing that I really want to spend a little moment on. And it's this thing where we equalize to fit in. So sometimes if we've been apart from our family, we've been going on this self-realization journey, we've been growing and learning and doing a lot of self-development. And we become quite aware, or more aware than we were the year before. And so we kind of get back together with these people we haven't seen for a while. And all of a sudden, we kind of don't fit because we've changed, we've grown, we've expanded. And what can sometimes happen is we can shrink in order to, and equalize in order to fit back into that little family dynamic pattern. So we kind of have to shrink down in order to fit in. And we do this unconsciously. And it's quite freaky the way that happens. And you might feel yourself doing it, where all of a sudden, maybe you get around your family and you start swearing or something, or you change your behavior in some way. And maybe you feel a bit embarrassed to talk about your spiritual life or your self-development world, or your view on creation and being a creator and these sorts of things. And so we energetically shrink ourselves. So that's really important to just be aware of. What else goes on is our inner children come out to play. Those inner children who want attention, who haven't had attention, who are vying for attention in that environment, can come out to play when we're around family and friends, and also come out to play if we're stressed and overworking and doing too much, right? So our inner children, if their needs aren't being met, can come out to play and do some self-sabotage. So that's also going on underneath all of this. And then we've got this judgment layering, what I like to call judgment layering, particularly with family. If you think about it, you've been with these people for your entire lifetime, right? And if you've been around Uncle Joe and Auntie Mary and the grandparents and the parents and all the siblings and the cousins, they've got to know you from day dot, from a little tot, right? And if you haven't had a lot to do with them all the time through the year, you may come into that environment, as I said, a bit different. But what can happen is they still see you as the old you. And they've been seeing you as that. And they've been layering on and layering on and layering and layering their judgments about you. So a good one to give as an example would be, if you're always late, then you might have changed over time, but they just see you always as late because they have just assumed that of you each year and laid this upon and upon and upon and upon. Another thing might be you're always the loud one, or the one that drinks a lot, or the one that, there's just been judgments that have stayed static and have just been compounded year after year. So that's also going on. So it doesn't even matter if you've changed. They can't see it because they're seeing through the layer of their judgments about you, which is a bit tricky and a bit hard for us to kind of deal with when we want to change things around. So don't worry, we can flip this. What we can learn from all of this is that we can grow and expand from all of this. Our awareness is going to help us shift through this. The holiday season offers us an opportunity to grow and just see how far we have changed. It allows us also to see what still needs to be balanced or healed through shadow. Okay? It also gives us clarity and perspective. What changes do we need to make? And what we can't change? Like maybe there's going to be some compassion for those family members that we can't change. And there'll be more compassion rather than this forcing of wanting to change. So that's what part of tonight's about, is changing this and flipping this. So we are going to move now into creating an intention for this holiday season. And to do that, we're going to ask 5 questions. So there's 3 on this slide and 3 on the next slide. And so I'm just going to go through the questions, and then I'm going to just repeat them as you go deep within and just hear for yourself from your inner GPS, your inner knowing what the answer is. This is where we go deep into finding out what it is we want, what's authentic for us. It's our starting point. So the first question we're going to ask is, what is it I want to feel at this time of year? Okay. So for me, I'm going to give you some examples. I wanted to feel happy and peaceful, inspired and connected. You might have one word or several words. Who do I want to be? Who do I want to be? And I wanted to be kind, generous, and authentic. So I've done this exercise. How do I want to contribute or inspire? Well, I want to contribute by being fully present and coming from a cup, from a full cup. That's how I want to contribute. And then the next question is, who do I want to spend this time with? Well, I want to spend it with my husband, my children, and friends that I feel safe with. So maybe there's some people outside of that arena that I perhaps don't want to connect with. Calm and strong, beautiful. I love that. And then finally, what is the gift I want to give myself? And my example was permission to feel all my feelings without judgment. So don't worry, this is in the workbook. You can take a screenshot if you want, or you can just, I'm just going to go back to that first question. So just closing your eyes, I'm going to ask those questions and just see what comes up for you. Anita has said calm and strong for the first one. So closing your eyes, just ask yourself, what is it that you want to feel? What is it you truly want to feel over this holiday season? And then who do I want to be? Who do I want to be? How do I want to contribute or inspire? Who do I want to spend this time with? Who do I want to spend this time with? I'm getting you to do it now, just in case you don't have time later. And what is the gift I want to give myself? What is the gift I want to give myself? And just breathing that in. I'll go over this again in the process that we do in a little while. So here's an example of my intention. So it's kind of the 5 questions. So there's 5 little paragraphs. So just to give you an idea of how you can create from asking those questions. And you can write your own intention, but those questions are just lovely little prompts. So my intention was this: During this holiday period, I give myself permission to feel happy and peaceful, to be inspired and to feel deep connection with friends and loved ones. I choose to be kind, generous, and authentic with all those I come into contact with. I honor my family by being fully present, coming from a full cup. I choose to spend my special time with my family and friends that I feel safe with. And I give myself the gift of feeling my feelings without judgment. Oh my goodness, Anita, you are going to be calm and strong this whole holiday season. Well, that's a very strong message from your higher self in your authentic self. How good is that? So your intention is very easy, calm and strong. My intention is to be calm and strong. So I'm going to whiz through the five essential steps to create a survival action plan. I don't want to spend heaps of time on this because I want to get into the process, and I want to keep this to an hour if I can. I might go over just a little bit. So the next thing we're going to do is create a plan. We're actually going to put this thought into it so that when things pop up, we're ready for it, okay? And we've got our answers or we've got our strategy. So the first thing we're going to do is step one is to have some mindset activity in place. So a mindset practice will divert you from that slippery slope of listening to that voice that goes on and sets you in that spiral of anxiety, stress, depression, beating yourself up, all those kinds of things. And so creating an affirmation to control the narrative is a really good practice to have. Excuse me, I've got something on my hair on my lip. So I want you to close your eyes again, if it's possible. I don't want Anita to trip over as she's walking. Is to just close your eyes and listen to some of these affirmations. And you're very welcome to choose one of these, which are also in the book, so you don't have to write it all down. But having something like this, so it's just closing your eyes and see if any of these jump out at you. There's 15. I'm just going to read these sentences out, and one of them might jump out of you, and you can just grab that one or create your own. So these are affirmations to help you stay in the intention that you want to be in. So when the voice starts talking, you might want to say to yourself, number one, it's impossible to please everyone. Number two, it's okay for me to do things differently. Number three, I only have to handle this moment. Number four, my mother is responsible for her own experience. And you can put father, whatever, in there. Number five, no one can upset me without my permission. Number six, I am not responsible for making my mother happy. Number seven, I am always at choice in how I respond to situations. Number eight, I can remove myself from a situation if I am uncomfortable. Number nine, it's okay if things don't go as planned. Number 10, choosing an empowered mindset is a major step in my healing. Number 11, approaching the holidays consciously is a gift to myself. Number 12, I commit to loving myself no matter what happens. Number 13, no matter how my mother treats me, I will not abandon myself. Number 14, I don't have to take the behavior of others personally. And number 15, I'm always safe within myself. All is well. So one of those might have jumped out at you, and you might want to create your own. So set yourself up with that mindset that can just shift you back and divert you from that slippery slope and control the narrative. So step 2 is manage those triggers. Okay, so to identify the triggers, what creates stress for you is the first step. So what we have to look at is what creates stress for you. And once again, it's in the workbook and you can spend some more time on this by yourself. But there could be things like conversations. You might feel really awkward having conversations with people at the work Christmas party. It could be conversations with families. It could be boundaries. There could be people that overstep your boundaries or time boundaries that create this trigger in you. Another trigger can be anxiety around where you happen to be staying. If you have to travel somewhere for Christmas or stay overnight at a friend's house or mother-in-law's house or something like that, that might create anxiety. You might want to know how long you are staying and like where you're going to be sleeping, what food are you going to be eating. That could be for someone who's anxious, and I'm speaking as someone who's anxious, we have to manage that. So I recently was going away somewhere and I was really wanting to know what the bedroom looked like. Would there be a bathroom for me, etc., etc. Okay. Another trigger could be, well, how am I going to get there? You know, if I'm going to have a drink, or is it going to be a taxi? Is it a bus? Is there transport available? Am I going to be the driver? Am I the designated driver, or my husband, etc.? Alcohol and food might stress you. Maybe you don't want to drink, or maybe you do want to drink. And what food are they serving? These can be all triggers. It could be that you're the one cooking the food and you're stressed about doing all the cooking. Any of these things can stress you. Time, money, all of these things that we talked about earlier. Buying presents, the expectation about getting just the right one. So identify your triggers. And then the next step is, what support do you need to support you in managing the trigger? Okay. Now, there is an internal and external support. So what we're doing with the support and with this plan is we are visualizing this intended holiday season. And so you think about your intention that we've just set earlier. And so what are the steps to bridge the gap? What support do you need? Because we need to know what we need, okay, in order to ask for it. So there's internal support. So we talked about the mindset mantra, and then we talked about, so these are all types of internal support we might need. Hi, Priyanka. Hi, Astrid. How are you? So we're just looking at our essential survival plan, and we're looking at what internal support we would need. So breathing is a really good internal support. Just practice your breathing so that when you need it, you're good at it. You remember how to do it. There might be visualization or a symbol to anchor. You know, you might just do a little anchor on your hand of the joy and intention that you wanted to have for this holiday season. EFT tapping is another good resource. Daily meditation, checking in with your inner child, perhaps carrying some crystals. All of these are things and self-nurturing things that you can do, self-resourcing things. External support could look like this. Speak to someone that you trust. Let them know that you are feeling how you're feeling. Like, for example, I might tell my husband that I'm a bit anxious about the dinner that we were going to have, and that that I don't want to go out afterwards, that I need to prepare for that if we're going to go out for drinks somewhere else afterwards, that sort of thing. Let them know that you feel anxious around your family members, and could they stay beside you? So you could also want to plan an exit strategy. So you might, agree beforehand what time you want to leave, and how you're going to get home. And if you are talking with someone that's making you really uncomfortable, you might have this strategy of, oh, I'm just going to go and get a drink, excuse me, and leave. Or you might say, I just need to check on the kids. So have an exit strategy planned. And then and as part of that strategy, you could have these neutral conversation phrases ready to diffuse uncomfortable conversations. So if someone's having a conversation and you really don't know how to engage or don't want to take it further, you could just say, wow, that sounds interesting. And if they're pushing you for something, if they're digging too deep, you could just say, this isn't the time to talk about that now. Happy to catch up at another time. So if you've got a few phrases like this happening, you can take those, you'll have them in your head ready to say at the right time. And also give yourself permission to leave or distance yourself if you're uncomfortable. You could have this safe word with your partner and set all of this up beforehand. So this is how you can manage the triggers and ask for the support and have the support that you need. So the next step is create a budget. Okay, create a budget. Creating a budget allows you to set a financial boundary and other boundaries actually that will ensure that you don't overspend and spiral into guilt. So just be mindful, like check in with your feelings. What is the motivation for you to overspend? So is there some sneaky need for extra approval is going on underneath it or something like that? Are you feeling guilty? Do you want to save face or status by getting a more expensive present? You know, what's going on? What's underlying this need to spend more? So just check in with yourself. And if you've already got a budget in mind, check in, you know, is this ridiculous? How am I going to feel afterwards? And so you could ask yourself, will this matter a couple of weeks after the holidays? Is it that important? Because you're going to have to weigh up the fact that you've gone over your budget. So having a budget and just really checking in if you want to overspend and see why. Pre-plan activities. So plan in advance for any accommodation, restaurants, or activities to ensure a smooth holiday. So, you know, recently, the last couple of times we've gone to spend time, and we have to with COVID, actually, you know, you've got to make the bookings. You can't just rock up to a place and get expected to be let in. The last couple of times I've gone down to visit my son, we've already pre-booked where we're going for lunch, and it's just wonderful. Like I went down there on the weekend. They said, "Oh, we're booked in at the club at 1:30." And it was like, oh, great. We don't sit around going, where do you want to go? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? Or do you like fish? Or do you like this? All that's happened already. And so it's just all smooth sailing when you get there, right? And if it's stuff for the children, you know, if you're going on holidays somewhere over Christmas, what activities are you going to do? Or have a short list, do some research and say, this would be a good place to visit. This would be a good place to visit, and etc. Don't forget, when planning these activities, to build in the rest breaks. Make sure that you know that you're going to have a day off or an afternoon off, you know, that sort of thing. And also, if you know that you will be alone on the day and you know that that's going to be a stress for you and it's going to trigger grief or sadness, see if you can pre-plan to connect with friends. And if you're not able to connect with friends, plan a very special me day. Like plan a movie that you're going to watch, buy some lovely food, and plan a walk or something after lunch. Mentally prepare for how you normally feel and prepare in advance for how you can support yourself through that so you don't feel rejected and abandoned. You can step in and look after yourself. So be very gentle through all of that and parent your inner child. The last step is self-care. So looking after yourself energetically, emotionally, and physically is essential to have a stress-free holiday season. Be prepared to say no to events if you need to have that rest. And if you're going somewhere stressful that you don't really want to go to, but you kind of have to, plan to do something fun with your inner child afterwards. So if you really have to go to a work function that is normally not really, you know, your cup of tea, just tell your inner child that when you get home, you're going to have a beautiful cup of tea and watch some Netflix. So you prepare yourself for a little treat afterwards. Eat nourishing food when at all possible and drink plenty of water over this season. Create any new routine that you want to have in place in advance so that when all of the stress and stuff starts to come up, you've already created a routine that's already starting to be with you like muscle memory. So if you plan to meditate each day, start practicing that now before you get too busy. And then look after your inner child needs. We talked about that. Check in with her regularly. Be vulnerable, tell your family what you need. If you need a walk or some time alone, it's up to you to express what your needs are, to say, I just need some time out. I need to go and have a lovely bath or read my book for 5-10 minutes or an hour and just leave me alone. Give yourself permission to feel all of your feelings about everything. Find time to move your body, make it fun, be flexible, and have boundaries. Okay, so that's some ideas about a self-care plan. So create that self-care plan, set it up in advance. All right, we're just going to race through this last bit, and then we're going to do a process. So breathe life into new traditions. Life comes in cycles. So you are not the same person you were 10 years ago. And or when you were little, or when all of your family was little. And what you did back then does not necessarily suit you now. And so what would you like to change? Like, don't just do the same things for the hell of it. Like, think, actually, what would be more fun? And what would nourish you now? Who are you now? You could even look at things like, what kind of Christmas decorations do you want now? You don't have to have the silly childlike ones anymore if your children are grown up. Or if you've got new children, maybe you do want some new childlike toys, okay? Try to only do activities that bring you joy. So I know Christmas cards aren't really a big thing anymore, but I haven't done Christmas cards for years because I hated it. I hated writing those hundreds of cards. And one year I went, really? Are my friends going to love me less because I don't write a card? So I stopped that whole thing. So only do things that bring you joy. Create some new traditions. As I said, decorate your house differently. And then bring in something that's authentically you for who you are at this time. So for me, a couple of years ago, I brought in having some candles, some blessing candles, and I have a candle for each person and a little prayer. And so when I light the candles, as the evening comes, I light the candles and I say that prayer, may you be blessed. And I go through each of my family and bless them. And look, my family thought I was a little bit weird at first, but I noticed over time they would go and have a look at that little prayer, and each candle had a little thing, a little symbol that was theirs. And so they knew which candle was theirs. And so it was just a very nice thing. It put you in a really good space. And the family knew, and it built energy in the home, saying that blessing prayer every day. Maybe you could have a trivia night about the last year. I've done that before when the kids were little, but you could do a kids trivia night about the last year. What did we do on so-and-so's birthday, Buzz? And you can have a little fun night. You can plan a nice cocktail party for grown-up children if your children are grown up. You could volunteer at a food bank. And you could introduce a gratitude conversation at the Christmas lunch table. You could also just walk around looking at Christmas lights as a family. We haven't done that for a while, but because they're no longer children, but it'd be nice to do it as adults, right? So what would you like to do? And ask people, ask your friends, what do you do for Christmas? What's your fun thing to do? And see what sparks your interest. Breathe some life into these new traditions. So that's all I wanted to say about it all. So in recap, we are going to create an intention. Then we're going to do this survival plan by working out what our triggers are. And then we're going to go through our survival plan. We're going to get our support. We're going to stick to the budget. We're going to have a self-care plan. And then we're going to have a look at breathing some new life into the traditions. Yeah, I love looking at those lights too. Even as an adult, I love it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do the healing and blessings of all of this. So if you could remember what your triggers were before, and there was a couple that I'm just going to make a note of, we're just going to go in. I'm going to do a bit of a process around releasing, and we're going to release that, and then we're going to do the intention, and we're going to bless it, and we're going to bless it forward into the future so that we're paving the way forward for this beautiful time. So I'm just going to stop that share now and come back. So let's do some healing work now. So closing your eyes gently, coming back into your center, taking a deep breath, and we just invite your higher self, your wise self, to be with you now as we go into the healing and releasing of some of these stresses and some of these patterns. And as you continue to breathe, we're going to breathe in this beautiful, new, nurturing Christmas spirit, holiday spirit. And it's like white, sparkly, it's a white light with lots of sparkles in it. And so as you breathe, that's in, you're going to open to this new light, this new energy. And imagining that you are standing under the moon, because it is a full moon today. In fact, it's about full moon now, right in this moment. So breathing in, and we're going to ask the full moon to assist us in the releasing, using the magnetic pull of the moon to release old patterns. So just continue to breathe, understanding that we're breathing in that beautiful white sparkly light, which is going to dissolve and disintegrate and nourish you. And as you breathe out and exhale, you release any of the stresses and patterns that no longer serve you. And it will just be released, pulled out by the moon, and dissolved in the light of the moon. So breathing in now. We're just starting the process of healing any of these stresses. And as you breathe out, just let go of any fear around the holiday season. Breathing in and just letting go any fear, and just letting that release out through the bottom of your spine, out of your base chakra. And then breathing in and just letting go of any fear around feeling abandoned or rejected at this time. Just letting that go. And just allowing yourself to let go of any emotions that are triggered from childhood around not feeling nourished and supported at this time. So I'm just feeling that there might be some people who have had some trauma at this season. Perhaps they felt abandoned or rejected. Perhaps there was a lot of stress in the family, and so there was anger, financial pressure, anxiety that you witnessed and absorbed as a young child. We now ask that any trauma and any locked emotions be released now under the energy of this full moon. May you release any trauma that has come about from this holiday season over the years, especially as a small child. We ask now that this be released through all time, space, and dimensions, so be it. Breathing in and just letting go of any trauma, just out of the torso and the lower part of your body. Breathing in again and just releasing out of your heart. Good. And just releasing any stress triggers where our body just physically goes into stress when we hear about the holiday season. That is just locked in there, that mechanism of that name equals stress. So just breathing in and just releasing any connection between the stress response and anxiety response and the words Christmas, holiday season, New Year's Eve, school holidays, any of that terminology. Just breathe in and just release from your mind and your neural pathway any of those triggers that come up just from saying the name that create a trigger response within your body. Good. Interesting. There was a fair amount there. Okay. And just breathing in and releasing any fear about having your emotions. about being true to yourself with your emotions at this time. Breathing in and just releasing any belief that you can't express your emotions, any fear you have around that. Breathing in and releasing out of your sacral chakra, your lower abdomen, just breathing out of there, or just breathing out of your whole body, whatever's easier. Good, excellent. And just breathing in and releasing any stress around money and time. They kind of go together a little bit today. Breathing in and releasing the need to stress over money and time. And we release now as well any patterns around money and lack and stress. Breathe in and release that. And breathing in and releasing any stress around time, that there's not enough time. There's never enough time and I'm stressed. Just saying those words, breathing in and releasing the habitual habit of saying there's not enough time and I'm stressed. Breathing in and letting that go. And now breathing in and just identifying whether you have a pattern where you try and equalize when you're around family and friends that you haven't seen for a while, that you're a little bit shy of showing them your new shiny self. Breathe in and just release now the pattern of equalizing in order to fit in. Breathe in and release that now. Good. And just saying it is safe for me to shine and to show people my new self. It is safe for me to shine and show people my new self. Breathe in and just giving yourself that mantra. And just breathe in and releasing any fear around being seen as different, that you're the odd one out. Just breathe in and release that and know that it's okay to be different. It's okay to be different. Breathe in and releasing any patterns now of disempowering yourself around these people, where you have this pattern of deferring to them, deferring to the adults, deferring to the elders, or deferring to the ones that are louder. Just breathing in and releasing that pattern now. Breathing in and releasing through your head. And just say, I don't have to abandon myself or my values to any other member of my family or my friendship circle or my work circle. It is safe for me to be different and to uphold my boundaries at this time. Breathing in and just allowing that. And then just, there's a little bit of work around the heart. Just say, I release any sadness and grief that is ready to be let go of. I acknowledge that this is a time to remember those who I have loved and who may no longer be around through death or divorce or separation or any other circumstance, work, being separated by work. And we give ourselves permission to acknowledge all our feelings around this, to allow ourselves to feel our feelings and to let them flow through us so that we can come out the other side and give ourselves permission to have joy and happiness as well. That we can have both feelings without feeling guilty. Just say, I now release any guilt around having to feel sad or lonely at this time. I give myself permission to have all my feelings. Breathe in and receiving that. And then just coming up a little higher to the throat and just say, I let go. All of the trapped words that I've never spoken at this time. I give myself permission to be vulnerable, to share with my support team, to share with others that I trust what I need at this time, to share what it is that I need as far as rest breaks or time out, or to stay with me when I'm at a family function, whatever it is I need. I give myself permission to voice this now with someone who is safe for me. I give myself permission to use my voice, to speak with compassion and kindness to those around me, to have my intentions heard, and to value myself enough to have boundaries around my intentions and to stick with them. And then just coming up to the Ajna chakra, your third eye. And we're going to sit here for a moment. We're just going to do one release, and then we're going to do our intentions. So just breathing in and just letting go of any past visions of how the holiday season is going to play out. Release any old patterns of seeing the holidays as a drag or a stressful time, or an expensive time, or a time of loss and abandonment. Whatever our past view of the season is, let's let that go now, just breathing in and releasing that past vision of the holiday season, and let it go. And now we're going to just look at our intention and bless the pathway forward. So coming back to those questions. What is it that I want to feel at this time? What do I want to feel? And just hearing that voice inside you reply to that. And then just say, I give myself permission to feel, and then fill in the blank. Who do I want to be? How do I want to be seen? Who do I want to be? Hear that voice. And then just say, I give myself permission to be, and fill in the blank. How do I want to contribute or inspire others at this time? And then just say, I give myself permission to contribute and inspire in this way, and fill in the blank. Who do I want to spend time with? Who do I want to spend this time with? Who do I truly want to spend this time with? If I have the choice. And then say, I give myself permission to spend time with these people. And what is the gift I want to give myself over this holiday season? What is the gift? And then say, I give myself permission to give myself the gift of, and fill in that blank. And now I just want you to sit in contemplation for a moment and start to visualize you feeling the way you want to feel. What would that look like? How would you look as you're feeling that? What would you wear? What would your posture be like? What activities would you do? And start to just feel it all first. And then maybe like a movie, you may see some of these events playing out. Tomorrow is the 1st of December. And so we're in the final run towards Christmas and the end of the year. So just seeing the future in front of you as a beautiful pathway forward. And we're going to breathe in and we're going to intend that we're going to send beautiful gold, luxurious light through the next few weeks. That each day is going to be blessed and infused with your intention all the way through, from tomorrow onwards, from today onwards. So just picturing each day as though each day is like a paver in front of you that you're going to walk along. And I want you to walk along this path and just infuse each day as though you're walking along a calendar that is a pathway. Sending this gold energy into every single day. Sending those qualities of calm and strong, joy and happy, peaceful, inspirational, whatever your word was, the feeling was, sending it through. Coming all the way up. And perhaps you can see some events on the calendar that you have coming up. Perhaps there's a work party or some function. You can stop on that day and send it lots of blessings. May this be the perfect day for me, the perfect function. May it go smoothly. May I feel supported, loved and nourished on this day. Sending lots of love to your inner child on that day if it's going to be a tricky one. And then keep going, moving forward on the calendar. Perhaps it's the last day of school and the kids come home from school and the school holidays begin. And just see this as a cherished time. Send your intention into the school holiday season. Coming all the way up to those holiday moments, stopping at any activities that you know you're attending, sending lots of love, sending a special message to that day, coming up to Christmas Eve and just feeling the excitement, happiness, calm and strength of you being you in your authentic way. Feeling strong and grounded with beautiful boundaries that everyone just respects. See yourself walking into Christmas Day. See yourself waking up on that morning feeling happy, strong, calm, and at peace. Knowing that you can be you, authentically you. And it doesn't matter what anyone says. You will just feel safe being you. And it's like you're going to wear this armor of you, of authenticity. And as you walk through the day, as you connect with all the different people through the day, they receive you as you. And they are actually in awe of that. They're interested in what you have to say. And they accept you as the new you. They can feel it radiating off you. And they welcome you into their homes. And if this is a day, or there's times through the day where you don't have anyone to meet, just see yourself in your home or at a special place, feeling happy, feeling safe and grounded, enjoying the moment. Sending this gold energy into those days, into those moments, all the way through the whole Christmas day. Then sending it into Boxing Day as you rest or have other activities. And then sending it into the following week, building up to New Year's Eve. How are you going to spend New Year's Eve? And then bring it into New Year's Day, the fresh start of a new year. What do you want to feel on that day? And then take it through January as far as you would like into the next year. And I'm just going to seal and consolidate that energy for you. And you can do this process every day. You can just send blessings along the path quickly every day from here on in. Every day, wake up and as a practice, say your affirmation and send love all the way forward. So that when you get to that day, it's there waiting for you. It's a beautiful practice. I now ask that each and every person who watches this, who is online live or watches it on replay or sees it again at some stage, may their holiday season be blessed with joy, peace, harmony, inspiration, and so much more. May each person be blessed in their own authentic way. May they sail through the holiday season with beautiful, strong boundaries, being authentic and true to themselves. May this be a revelation to themselves and others around them. May this be their ministry. May this be the message of love that they share with their family. The truth, the gift of authenticity. And may it be so. It is done, it is done, it is done by the power of three, a perfect Trinity. It is done. And so when you're ready, just allowing yourself to come back into the space. And I'm just going to share one final screen with you. I wish you all the best. If you need support, you can contact me at my email address, visit my website, or message me here. I'm not going to do a sales pitch, but I do want you to know that I'm here to support you.